Matt Reardon, nice to see you.
Hey, Mayor.
I'm trying to figure out when the last time you and I were person to person. We talked frequently over the campaign, but
I think when you and Marissa were having dinner, and I was having dinner with Dockage and some of the other data center dudes at the sushi joint.
Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah, it's good
Katara.
stuff.
It's good to have you here.
If we're gonna be talking about Katara, though, we gotta get them as a sponsor, right?
Yeah,
we know the ownership there. Some of them.
We do.
They're right down the street.
They should
right up the block.
They should be sponsors on our show.
What about Red Lobster?
We need them.
Can you get them too?
Well, let's walk.
When's Lobster Fest?
Right. It's probably
You go to
sponsored.
Red Lobster a lot?
No.
Really?
Here and there.
That's not going to get us any damn
COVID,
sponsors,
man.
Here.
You can't go.
No. You were really damn quick. I'm trying to build up a sponsor.
That's
we go
hey,
there.
Do you like Red Lobster? You're
we go there
hell
for lunch. No. I love. I had not gone to Red Lobster for 30 years, and then you're here and you're like, oh, it's right across the.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Magical.
Red Lobster.
Matt Reardon in the house.
Yes.
We had to blindfold you to bring you to the studio.
No idea.
Yeah.
We spun him around 15 times, put him in the back of a car.
It smells like Red Lobster, but I don't know where I'm at.
I'm not sure where I am, but it has a fishy smell.
I don't know. It's kind of close by my house. But anyway.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, nice digs.
Thank you.
Really put together professionally. I like it.
I mean, John put it together, but it's
nice work, John.
Yeah.
I should know better. Never mind.
Nice work,
professionally
is
Lindsay, hell of a job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thanks,
yeah,
man.
we're happy you're here, and it's good to have you. I know you're going to be a good guest. As you know, Mayor, we're on Tuesdays and Fridays, live at 7:30. You can subscribe at Left of Center Show on Apple Podcasts. You can also like and share us on Facebook, Left of Center Podcast, Twitter at LOC Pod, and John on YouTube at Left of Center Podcast. Correct? Yes, John's saying yes. So make sure to like and share us all over the place, and
John
subscribe.
doesn't talk now.
Subscribe.
He's like
we need
professional.
we don't have the money yet to buy another mic, so we're working on that.
We dropped 10 G's in here. We can't get an extra damn mic.
You're going to work your way up to
I mean,
that.
I'd take
4 mics is like the next level.
Yeah,
right?
4 people.
Like Joe Rogan's got 4 mics.
Well,
see,
we can't get that.
We're
you
not
gotta
there
get
yet.
there. This is your third show, fourth show.
Yeah, number 4.
Episode 4. You're on episode 4.
I saw that. I saw the title, "The Opponent's Husband."
There
were a lot of different variations.
What smart ass came up with that one? I liked it.
The smart ass ones were way before that.
Oh, really?
That was Matt, the whole our shows we're trying to name it. We're trying to be like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Sure.
Just stupid titles like that.
I thought we were just doing our own titles. I didn't know we were matching up some. So who are we competing with? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I think it should be don't you? John, what do you think of that?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's Always Sunny? You know how they always have Matt gets arrested or something like that. I'm not talking about Matt Reardon. I'm just saying they always have titles.
What?
Matt gets arrested. How would you have liked it if we had that?
Matt gets arrested. Really?
Surprise!
What happened?
I don't know that I'd be coming in here.
Well, let's get a little background on Matt Reardon.
Yeah, let's get some. First off, I listen. Matt Reardon's been a voice
of the region for years.
Economic development guru. My show at WJOB went on for, 15 out of the 16 years I was mayor, and you had a show for basically
forever.
Same amount of time that I was on.
Yes.
Right, you and
Dave it started out me and Kuziak, and we had Spiro, we had Philpott, we had Repay.
Oh my gosh, that goes so far back.
We used to have that in the studio where they had the carpet, and then we had the region round table where we had
region
the wheel
round table.
We had the wheel of indictment going for there for a good solid half a decade.
Dude, we gotta bust that out.
I know. You never know. Who's up next? Right.
Yeah,
what city? Pick a city. Who's gonna win?
Funny. I don't win.
We went through the whole East Chicago thing and having the weather reports about what's going on in Greece when for Gus.
Oh, that's right. Think about
Frankie Colintzis.
So you were old studio for years.
Oh yeah.
So for those of you that don't know what Matt's talking about, we had in East Chicago, which is a neighboring city to where we are right now, because we do have some viewers and listeners from outside Northwest Indiana area,
all over the country.
But we had right before I took over as mayor, there was a scandal in our neighboring city of East Chicago where basically 5 out of the 9 council members were indicted. And one of them, after he was indicted, had a Greek passport, and he
hasn't been seen since.
Nope.
No extradition treaty with Greece.
Pretty smart.
That's it's good to hold on to your Greek passport.
I believe he follows me on Facebook. I'm almost positive.
Why not?
Why not?
There's nothing wrong with Facebook in Greece.
I'm
right?
just saying.
So.
He's
Frankie, if you're out there, hey.
Frankie's probably listening to us right now. What time
be.
is it in Greece right now? It's dinner
what do you
time.
think, +8?
Yeah,
plus
it's
9,
dinner,
something like that.
Like dinner time, right?
Yeah, he's like just enjoying dinner,
having a nice glass of wine
on the veranda,
Absolutely.
looking at the Aegean,
listening to Left of Center.
Whoa.
How
many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 10.
Whoa.
Where are you ranking?
So I'm number 10. So it's Ed,
You're the youngest.
Ed, Nick, Mary, Teresa, Kathleen, Pat, Mike, Pete, Maureen, me, and Paula. Wow. So
11.
Oh, you're 10 out of 11. Gotcha.
Yep. So that we have.
And you grew up in Crown Point, right, Matt?
Crown Town. Yeah, we have 6 boys, 5 girls.
What's the beginning to end age differential?
52 to 73.
Wow, so like 20 some years. So some of your brothers or sisters were out of the house by the time you...
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have like a big giant house. There was, we had
Nobody did
1, 2, 3, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
3 bedrooms with 11 kids.
Yeah, so, 1, 2, 3 upstairs, 1 downstairs. So downstairs was basically the girls' room.
Whoa.
So that was it. And then upstairs we had Ed and Nikki's room, the oldest brothers, and then us. So Pat, Mike.
And then just us, the others.
Pat, Mike, Pete, and me were in the other room in bunk beds. So that's how it went
so
for a while.
2 bunk beds in one room.
Yeah. So until Ed and Nick were done, moved out, and then, the twins moved over to Eddie and Nikki's room.
I'm sure they were very reluctant to move out.
Oh, my God.
He's like a frat house.
So, I mean,
when's my ticket out of here?
Yeah, we had no aircon. It was like a fight for pillows, no aircon. Like if you had a fan blowing on you when you slept, it was gone by the time you woke up.
That's funny.
Because somebody would come home and they'd be like, that's
awesome.
So it's like 100 degrees.
But growing up,
it was
that's
awesome. I loved it.
Did all your brothers and sisters go to Andrean High School also?
I did.
Yeah,
wow,
everybody
that is
in
a
your family?
lot. You know what? The bishop owes the Reardon family.
Well, between that and then their kids that went there. So I have
really.
Yeah, most of them.
Did you get like quantity discounts when you have humongous families, right?
I don't know. First of all, I don't know how my parents actually paid for all that stuff.
Yeah,
but
that's not cheap, man. Like it's like going to Catholic high school is $10,000 plus. Right now.
And back then it was probably still whatever it is, plus inflation at this point.
Exactly.
Right?
So
Same
it
thing.
was economies of scale in reverse, I guess, however you say that, but. That happened. So we all went there. It wasn't like a hey mom and dad, I want to go to Crown Point. They're like, what?
Right.
That's not even a discussion. It's
Really?
like, yeah, you're going to Andrean because
Really?
you're Catholic, so go. You went to St. Mary's.
You didn't have any pressure at all to go to Crown Point? I mean,
Sure.
Because you were a really good athlete too.
I had all kinds of discussions with coaches over there, and all my friends were from Crown Point. So they're all playing basketball and football, and I played against them the whole time. And I go to Andrean, and I'm meet a bunch of guys that I used to see.
Yeah.
Playing sports,
sure,
and that was it.
Right.
And but it was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it. I've had my kids. I lived half a mile from Munster High School, so I'm like, top school in the state, Andrean, top school in the state, 25 miles away.
Right.
So I had some options. So my kids went there, but I've had.
So your kids went to Munster, right?
I've had.
Wait, by the way, I mean, it's free if you're a Munster resident, which you are, and it's an amazing school.
Right. Has all the stuff.
So, like,
you're paying your taxes.
Send your kids to an amazing school for free. Send your kids to an amazing school for miles away.
Yeah, miles away for
plus
whatever.
10,000. Right?
Yeah, it just, that's the way it worked out. But I've had, I'd say all in, let's say 30 Reardons have gone through that.
The bishop should be giving you something for that.
I would think so. I think I'm busting Dave Pishker's balls. I'm like, why is the Reardons not up in the Hall of Fame?
There you go,
all
right?
of us in total.
Totally.
Just the Reardon family.
Dave's comment is, well, Paula's already up there, so you're out. I'm like,
You're
Dave, you got to bring that up. All the Reardon boys, all the sports we played, my sister Paula for volleyball and track is in the Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Really?
There's a Reardon.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
See, you got it.
So you played football, right?
Football, and I played football, basketball, ran track, played golf 1 year for fun.
Did you letter in all those sports?
Uh-huh.
No kidding.
Yep.
Back in the day when you could play 3 or 4 sports, right?
They kind of encouraged it. It was like, wrestle track or football, wrestle or all that shit. Yeah.
I did
it
the
wasn't
same
like
thing. 3 sports. I did soccer in the fall, basketball in the winter, baseball in the spring.
Yep.
That's what everybody did.
Not everybody.
Not anymore.
I was 120 pounds, dripping wet.
Well, they need you on the
That's why
wrestle
I wrestled.
mat.
That's why I wrestled.
Pinning guys down.
When I got to high school, I weighed 119 pounds up getting pinned. Yeah. I was 119
Pinning
pounds.
Doing
down.
the pinning.
I wrestled 107 that year. That's a lot of goddamn body weight to be cutting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was great growing up. We're still.
By the way, Lindsay's got the cuss counter at 5 already. I think that's bullshit. Like,
Well, you're just helping, Tom.
well, no, like seriously, like I don't remember 5 words out there.
It's
Well, I
just
mean,
probably
that's
I think it was Matt. I
collective.
think it
It's
was Matt.
collective.
probably
so.
slipped out
She
my
counts, like-
conversational
That's right.
discussion.
She
About
says,
you,
she
about
says
people-
like
about my
butt
fucking
and crap.
family, right?
She uses words like that. Like she
Yeah.
just rings us up for stuff you can get away with.
You know, and
Like,
the thing I always
she's
remember
tough on that
about
counter.
the Reardons is your dad was a Lake County judge.
Yep, Lake County judge, magistrate.
Where in Crown Point or
Yeah,
At the
Crown
old
Town.
courthouse?
Yep.
when
My dad is a triple domer. My parents grew up in Vettville over there. My dad was in the Navy.
triple
And-
domer.
3 degrees from Notre
Yeah,
Dame.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So undergrad, masters, and then law, or
Yeah.
really? What
Yeah,
was his
he's
master's
super
in?
smart. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened
no
to me.
kidding. No, I went to school with tons of double domers, but
Yeah, he's a triple domer. So I don't know what happened to me, but I digress.
hey, we forgot to like do any of our sponsors.
That's right. Well, that's good. We just fed them in a little bit. Let's do some sponsors.
Yeah, we like jumped right in.
We won't do all of them. We're going to split them up here.
Matt, we're about to go deep with you, Matt.
Fantastic.
Like
Bring
I
it
think
on.
you've been on the air for 15 years, and you've been with Kuziak for most of the time, and he talks so like we
I've
figured-
already talked more in this time period than I have been able with Dave. No
Nobody
offense
knows
to
you.
Dave. I love Dave,
I love
but
Dave, too.
he's just on it. So anyway,
Yes.
go.
I'm
Let's
glad
hear
you're here
about
and you're able to talk here.
That's
at Left of
amazing.
Center
It's like I'm
Podcast.
actually having a conversation with
Let's do some
myself.
sponsors. We're going to get back with Matt and Curtis Hill. That should be a
By the way, we're
wonderful
doing
discussion.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Well, I mean, I think we should talk about Matt and Representative Mara,
We'll get
Matt's
that.
family. But like, by the way, we are getting overwhelmed with sponsors. I love it.
Not
I wanna-
overwhelmed. We need more.
Well, no.
Keep
Not like
contacting
we.
us.
It's not like we can't use more, but like I just want to say thanks, like to all the sponsors that are reaching out to us and sponsoring our show. This is how we keep it going. Like Matt said when he walked in, is like you guys got to pay for this somehow. It's like no kidding, right? We got this beautiful studio we set up.
We have phone lines that the mayor mandated we have.
Yeah, sorry, did we get voicemail? Like
No.
Like so last week, I'm like, what if somebody wants to leave voicemail? They're like, oh, we didn't think of that.
Wow.
I'm like, Jesus,
That's
on your personal cell phone.
That's pushing a little bit. Voicemails.
Dude, that was a good story, wasn't it? By the way, a lot of people would be embarrassed about that story. I like to tell it.
Proud of it.
I couldn't believe it.
It's a badge of honor.
It is a badge of honor.
Our sponsors, Mayor.
Okay, I'll start.
Sure.
Realtor Jeffrey Cardwell with Macaulay Real Estate proudly serves all of Northwest Indiana for all of your real estate needs. With over 11 years of experience and a 9-year veteran of the Navy, Jeff Cardwell is a realtor you can trust. Call today and find out why Jeff is the home of 5-star service. 219-743-5157. That's 219-743-5157 or visit gcardwell.macaulay.com.
I see Jeff's posts all the time on Facebook. He's selling a lot of houses. The housing market is hot. I get to do Pinnacle Concrete this week. So Pinnacle Concrete can meet all your concrete.
He's an Andrean
Yes,
kid.
he
There you
is.
go.
State champion baseball player.
He hit the game-winning double. Love this kid.
Rigo Escueda Jr. They do all types of concrete work, including patios, driveways, sidewalks, porches, steps, decorative concrete. Check out some of their work on Facebook at Pinnacle Concrete LLC. Schedule your free estimate today by calling Rigo Sr. at 805-7572 or Rigo Jr. at 407-4567 or message them on Facebook. They're licensed, bonded, and insured, like all good businesses should be, in all towns and cities in Lake County, Indiana.
Region News Source, featuring Northwest Indiana region-specific breaking news and stories, focusing only on facts regarding our lives in Northwest Indiana. Paul Goddard and his team are proud to declare that we have no political bias or political opinions, just facts and truths straight from reliable and trusted sources. This service is provided to the region for free. Check out our website at regionnewssource.org or follow us on Facebook at Region News Source.
All right, I'm going to do one more. Attorney Alfredo Estrada at Burke, Costanza, and Carberry, locations in Maryville and Chicago. Alfredo is one of the most experienced lawyers in the area of immigration and civil litigation. We talked about Alfredo last episode. He's doing some great work also at the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic, taking on DACA recipient issues and immigration issues. Call Alfredo at 219-769-1313. That's 769-1313. And who's got the Spanish here?
New.
Oh, adelante con Alfredo. That was probably really bad.
I only took like
Even Matt's like, he's like, that's not
Adelante
going to
con
work.
Alfredo.
Come on.
Thank you. Roll the R.
Adelante con Alfredo.
That's why you
All right.
should have done it. See?
Yeah. All right, we're not doing any more. We'll do
We're
those
gonna
later.
take a break in
All
a
right.
little bit.
Are we doing show and tell, or are we doing that later?
You want to do it? It's sitting here.
Let's
Let's
do it.
talk about it.
Well,
We
you
just
know,
talked about the Times.
the Times-
Matt's got it in front of him.
The Times did a story about our podcast, which is nice. In the print version, it said
Mayor
McDermott
starts political podcast.
right? And we're like, oh. And then you
Isn't
read the
that
story,
nice?
it's like, oh, how nice. And then the online version. Mayor starts expletive-filled political podcast. Let the phone calls begin.
I was like, whoa.
Didn't your mom call?
My mom called me. She only read I guarantee you she only read the print version.
She didn't read the
And she was
online?
like, that's not a very flattering article for you and Tom. I was like, Mom, I mean, it's a podcast. We're just kind of having fun. Well, I just don't want people to get the wrong idea. I know you and Tom, and you
Yeah,
guys
your
are
mom
good
is
boys.
lovely.
And you guys,
Thank
I
you,
was like,
Mom.
Mom, it's going to be fine. I mean, she not only did she call me, then she called Jana yesterday for like a half hour.
Called
and
the
about
wife.
like how she was very
Called the
concerned
wife?
about the swearing.
Dude, you called
and
the wife.
very
That's just-
concerned about the image.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
My
so
dad cussed more than me. Did you tell her that?
I
Where do you think I get it from? Right? He comes in here and starts dropping S-bombs like they're going out of style. He's like, oh, that's a body function.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure you read your medical dictionary. It says, if you have a problem taking a shit, like.
Let's talk about show and tell.
Speaking of, I want to point out that I was recently, it says 2020 on here.
Regardless of what the Times writes about
They like me. I'm going to put this on my shirt. I am the best mayor in the region, according to the Times. I mean, this is something.
just for this year.
No.
It's forever?
It is forever.
All right.
Yeah. It says forever in this one special. I just want to point
Wow.
that out. So we're putting this in studio. I'm supposed to hang this on my front window, but I've never been very good about following
It gets better. It's
instructions.
going to get better play here.
It will get a lot better play in here. So we're putting it in here. Just to remind people, when the Times tries to beat me up or try to beat up our podcast, they
love
they're
you.
mute. They love me because
love you.
they think I'm the best mayor in the region. So
Thank you to the Times.
thank you, Times. Here you go. I
That
just
was
want to
nice
point
of
that
them.
out.
Thank
It
you,
is
Chris
very
White
nice of them,
and
right?
I thought
Mark
so.
Chase. And
They got like the best like restaurants in the region, the best this, and I love my fellow mayors, by the way. But I mean, I can't argue with the media.
you got some stuff.
They got barrels of ink, so I hear.
That's
do.
what I hear.
Stop
That's what
fighting
I
with
hear.
them.
I am not fighting with them.
fighting with
and
them.
this is not expletive.
Stop throwing
filled.
their paper.
See, how did we get one more? Oh, I guess I did say the
That's
word.
right.
That's right.
Here we go.
See,
Let's get back to Matt.
let's get back
let's
to
talk
Matt.
more about Matt.
Let's talk about Matt. So, Matt, when did you and Mara meet? Mara, for those of you that aren't aware, and there's people outside of the region that listen, Representative Mara Reardon is Matt's wife of, I'm going to guess, 25 years?
23.
Whoa. I mean, that rolled right off your
Three.
tongue. Just-
Yeah, like it was so
23?
natural. So natural.
Fish?
Yeah.
23.
23. Yes. And so you guys met, what?
So we met
college?
when she worked for Visclosky.
Oh,
Isn't
Which
that funny?
feeds into my rage, which is going to get
You would think
unleashed
that
here in a
somebody-
little bit.
You would think that somebody who worked for Visclosky would have a chance of getting his
You would
endorsement,
fucking
right?
think so, now wouldn't you?
I love it.
But anyway, so we met there. She worked for the congressman, and she asked me.
What did she do? She was like constituent
Federal
services?
projects
Yeah.
coordinator for
Gotcha.
the congressional office. So she says, "Hey, can you cover this event, taking these people around to show them brownfield sites and shitty property?" For those of you who don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the bus and I go and we do all this stuff. And anyway, I'm like, "Hey, yeah, all right, well I'll do that, but you owe me a drink."
wow.
Nice.
Look at you.
Oh, so she was showing you the properties?
No. We were at a meeting with the congressman, was talking about whatever, and
So he had the staffer, and she was a staffer.
She
with
was a
him.
staffer. And then we had to take a bus trip and explain where we're at. Like we're at
Gotcha.
SCM Glidden Metals in Hammond.
Sure.
Going,
Gotcha,
okay, this
gotcha,
place is
gotcha.
poisonous because blah blah blah.
Right.
So the job is cleaning up. Anyway, so I said, hey, you owe me a drink, and that was that. So we went out and had a drink, and we were together ever since then. So I was 27, 8.
There you go.
Well, it was right when I was making my one and only run for elected
One of my
office.
favorite signs. I want one of those brown Reardon signs for the 3rd District from 1995.
1995, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I that was right when all that was going on. So I lived in Tangletown.
Oh, no
No
kidding.
kidding.
That's
Oh,
how you were
yeah.
in the 3rd.
Yes.
You were in the Hessville part
I
of the
happened
3rd.
to be in the
Yeah.
3rd.
Whoa.
I was running no
Yeah.
matter what was fucking happening. I was running for something. So at the time, I'm like, man, maybe I'll run against this Stevenson guy. I could probably beat him.
Oh, state rep at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, no, you know what? Maybe I should just,
And then back then, there was a Republican mayor in Hammond. And you
There
were
was.
running
Dwayne was the
Republican.
mayor. So
Right.
I'm like, well, I'm helping out with the party and helping Dwayne and people like
Mm-hmm.
Joe McCarthy and
That's
whatnot,
right.
and
And,
Janet
Janet
Moran.
Moran, they were on the
Right.
council.
So anyway, that's when we met. So she's certainly helpful in the campaign. So that's what happened.
You had to
That's
return
awesome.
the favor and work on her campaign.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right.
By the way, the phone number here is 219-595-0792. 595-0792. I know the phone number just rolls right off the tongue. It's like so easy to remember. Like,
We paid
guy.
for that probably.
Yeah, $10,000 doesn't get you a specialized phone number.
Does not. That is not.
219, call Tom.
Called.
How about
go.
that?
You would think that somebody would like get
I don't
creative like that.
know.
No, do you have 595-0792?
That's available.
Yeah, really. I was hoping we'd get that one. I want one with every number is different. That would be great. You know, we don't want like 0100 or anything like that.
595-0792.
See?
It just rolls right off the tongue.
14 years of radio will do that. So, question?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, do you want to wait until we
I'll
get
wait.
in? There's a
We
question
can-
from Matt that we want to cover, but we're going to
Oh,
roll
no,
ourselves
let's-
into the campaign.
Let's do that.
Okay. I'm going to do Tortilla Leon real quick.
All right.
Nuevo Leon
Back to
tortillas.
sponsors, apparently.
Nuevo Leon has been the region's tortilla brand since 1975. Family owned by the Martinez family, their corn and flour tortillas, as well as their nacho chips, can be found on grocery store shelves far and wide, all over Chicagoland and across the country. Visit our website at tortilla. Jeez, oh Pete, man, I picked the wrong one. Tortillas.
Wanna hand that over here?
NuevoLeon.com for more info, right? I mean, it's HTTP
Well, you don't need that.
tortillas, plural,
Tortillas.
NuevoLeon.com. I'm sure if you typed in Nuevo Leon,
They'll come up.
they'll come up on the website. But anyway, they're great. And by the way, the Martinez family's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a Hammond business. They moved here.
Yes, they
It was
create jobs. They spent
create-
money. They
And by
didn't
the
have
way,
to be
Go
here.
figure.
They pay good wages. They take care of their
Yeah.
employees. They're a great
Right.
family.
And they're a national company.
And they're a
their
national
tortillas go to Texas. I know that just from talking to them. They were like,
Nice.
we're all over the place.
Okay, I'm going to add Matt.
Where are we going?
All right.
Curtis.
Oh,
Matt. So Matt Reardon's been a state rep. I'm going to say
14 years.
14 years. Okay. And a couple years ago, at the end of Kevin and I have been to this party. At the end of every party, it's Sine Die.
Sine Die.
Sine
Sine
Die, which
the
is
end of the legislative session.
End of session.
And it's a big party. Like the session, all the legislators are happy. They've been working for months.
Oh.
They get to finally go home. And the lobbyists are happy. They've been working for months. They get to finally take some time off. We get invited as mayor. Kevin usually would go up there. It's a good time.
Staff, people that worked hard.
Right. You would see elected officials in there like mayors and obviously attorney generals and things like that.
Some people have been going at it for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
It's a good way to just
Yeah.
like blow off steam and
It's a great party.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun. And it used to be fun. By the way, when I first became mayor, it was a lot more fun than it is now. It's not as fun.
It's different.
It's different. But anyway.
So Curtis Hill ruined it for everybody.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
Big
Yeah.
time.
If it
So-
wasn't already getting worse, he
Yeah,
really
he
ruined
put
it.
the
Curtis
nail
Hill is the Indiana Attorney General.
No.
He's a middle-aged,
Outgoing.
outgoing
Yeah.
Attorney General. He's an African American Republican, ally of the
Elkhart.
president, former prosecutor at Elkhart. I think he was always angling to be Trump's Attorney General. Personally, I think he was always thinking that was his next step was going to be
A
Washington.
U.S. attorney, maybe, who knows?
So anyway, at the end of the Sine Die party, the Attorney General shows up drunk, and the trouble begins. Right?
When did you find out about it?
So, Mar knowing how I am, and people have asked me this, like, why didn't you do something? I'm like, well,
Guarantee
okay.
you would have.
So
The Reardons are a tough bunch.
yeah, I'm like, my nose
You
is
were
not
lying-
my
you were
nose
lying.
is not straight for a reason.
That's a good line.
So
You see my nose?
yeah, see
It's
my
not
nose,
straight.
it's not straight.
It was born straight.
Yep. So she tells me like 2 weeks after.
Really?
And I said,
2 weeks after the party.
So we're packing up. Yeah. So we're packing up her apartment because she stays down there because as a legislator, you're down in Indianapolis for 4 days to 5 days. So it's impossible to drive back and forth if you're from here.
right.
So she tells me, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'll be right back. I'm just going to, I'll be back. She goes,
Yeah,
where are you
I'm
going?
going
I'm like,
to
I'm
State
going to
House.
fucking State House.
Right.
To deal with this guy myself.
That's
She's like,
that's what husbands
sounds
do.
she's
like
like,
your reaction.
no, you're not.
Dude,
She's like, what
Kevin,
are you
you
going
would
to
do that.
I said that sounds like the right reaction.
Yeah, I agree.
She
right?
says,
Yeah.
you're gonna.
I'd be like,
she's
okay,
like,
I gotta-
so what's gonna happen?
I gotta
so,
go kick the Attorney General's ass.
right.
Right.
So you're what? Gonna be thrown in jail? I'm like,
Then it would have been.
yeah.
Matt Reardon was
Crazy
arrested.
husband assaults black attorney general in State House.
Right.
With stapler, whatever. So
you had a stapler.
no.
Well, you wouldn't be able to get in the
Stapler.
State House with that.
Oh yeah, I would because I have a pass. You see, so I would walk
Oh.
right in.
Wow.
So anyway, so she tells me, Matt, I'm going to handle it, and I said, I believe you. She's been down in Indianapolis a long time. She's dealt with a lot of issues with people, and that's the job of a legislator to deal with people. And so she was able to navigate that system.
Right.
She is very. She's durable and tough.
She's tough. Mara's tough.
She wouldn't have been around for 7 terms.
No, and so she says, I'm going to deal with it. And then Mara finds out about the other women that
was
groped.
interesting. Because, I mean, honestly, thankfully for Mara, obviously one woman versus the Attorney General is a tough fight.
Oh, man, come on. You know what the story is.
Right. If one woman against Attorney General, you're going to be looking at both saying, okay, one of these people is lying.
Man, let me ask you this. So did she find out about the other women before or after she went public?
Before.
Okay.
So Mara's intention, and you can talk to her about it. I'm not speaking on behalf of her, but her intention was to deal with it directly with Curtis Hill, saying, look, you need to stay the fuck away from me and keep your hands to yourself. Period.
She went to him directly.
She was going to. Then she found out about the other women. She said, now I have a responsibility to bring this to light to the leadership, because she wasn't making a decision just for herself anymore. She was making a decision this decision was made because there's 3 other women involved. So as a person who's number 3 in the Democratic Party in the House and the caucus chair, she could have said, yeah, whatever. Her words are her words, and I'm just going to go about my business and deal with it. No, she dealt with it. So she introduced that to the leadership, and they took action, and so on and so forth. And so you have all these women, and then
the House decided to do, like, the General Assembly did their own review.
They did an investigation.
Because that's when the public found out, is after that became public, right?
Right.
So do you think Mara's intent? I mean, again, obviously we can ask Mara this question, so
and we
I'm
will.
not
By the
holding
way,
you to it.
We
but
will.
Do you think her belief was it wasn't going to go public, or do you think she knew at some point this is going to go public?
I don't know that she was contemplating whether it was public or not. She was contemplating that there was an action taken by this guy that needed to be dealt with. And the fact that he was black, or the fact that he was the Attorney General, was immaterial to the actions that were taken by the guy. So she dealt with it in that fashion. So it wasn't like, her first thought wasn't like, I'm going to call the cops.
Right,
well, okay. I think there were people who said, well, why didn't you just kick him in the balls? She's like, well, okay. So I'm at this thing. This guy's grabbing my ass. We're in a bar. He's the Attorney General, and what am I going to do?
Right.
I mean, so there's like a million.
And Mara's a state rep. Can you imagine how the other women felt? Like,
right. So
Mara's a state rep.
Right.
And the
so
other women who were victimized that
right.
night.
And they're and it wasn't all white girls. It was brown, and so it was all Republican and anyway.
Right.
So it
basically,
had
if you were
had
a
to be
woman, you were in trouble that
yeah,
night.
it had to be dealt with that way, and that's the way it was dealt with. And then you had a special attorney who kind of punted and said, "I can't get criminal charges," and he basically said, "There's another venue to do this. This is a civil matter."
Right.
And so it went off of there.
And that's because of the preponderance of the evidence standard, right?
Well, I mean, he's got to deal with probable cause. He's got to deal with whether or not he thinks he can prove. I mean, at the end of the day, the prosecutor has to decide whether or not he's going to be able to prove the case in court beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
So
whereas in civil court, it's by a preponderance.
Sure.
Right.
So that's what happened. So there's the Me Too movement took direct interest in what had happened there because of who it was, and it spoke and smacked of the old boy network, and let's just sweep this under the rug and all that shit that comes along with it. So I'm on fire
during this whole period.
Yeah.
Fire.
So Matt, like this is all happening, and the public doesn't even know what's going on.
No,
right? We found out months later when.
Yes.
I forgot.
Like, the report. Somebody did a records request of the report. I think. Right.
It was
the report
Indy Star
came
report,
out,
right?
and the Indy Star cracked it because they were able to get a copy of the report. I think is how it went.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, Matt.
Right. So, I'm like I said, I'm on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, this dirtball's like, oh hey, and I'm like,
didn't happen, right?
It started out didn't happen.
Right.
They're fucking lying.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They're doing this to just besmirch my name. They're racist. Let's see, what other card did he throw on the table?
Everything.
Oh, I'm Republican. I mean, this prick has a fucking press conference at our office of the Attorney General to defend himself for groping girls because he was drunk in a bar.
That was his initial instinct.
Come on.
Right.
So I'm like, who's letting this shit go on? Like, really, who's letting this shit go on? Somebody pulled a guy in. Hey, listen, you need to go apologize, go your ass to rehab, say you're really sorry, and then see what happens. He did none of that. He said, you're a liar, you're racist, you don't understand, and fuck off. And it was like, what? So
let me ask you. So at that point, Mara has not gone public at all yet.
Nope.
All right. And then what's the decision?
The decision is I'm talking to Brian Bosman, I'm talking to the Senate president, and I'm talking to my leader, and I'm going to tell him what happened to me, and I'm going to tell him what those 3 women told me happened to them, and I want you to do something about it, or I'm going to do something about it. And
Brian Bosman, of course, is Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House.
Republican Speaker of the House.
Yes.
But has a good relationship with Mara. I know they get along great. Mayor,
Right.
you know.
And the interesting thing is the leadership doesn't necessarily love the Attorney General. Like the Republican Party, traditional
Kind of
Republican,
split over him.
They don't like the governor is not a fan of the Republican Attorney General. The legislature is not a fan. So that adds even more intrigue to this whole
Sure
thing.
does.
Is the legislature trying to go after the Attorney General because of political reasons? Are they trying to use the incident with the representative as a political way to attack the Attorney General?
Which is what the Attorney General, I think, started to try to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
Tried to spin it that way, that, this is a political witch hunt.
Right. So, Matt, obviously, I read recently that a federal lawsuit that was filed was dismissed. Does that mean that the case is over, the civil case?
No, they just...
all federal claims got dismissed.
Yes, they said that was the wrong venue to file it.
Right.
And so there's another case pending between...
In state court?
In state court,
Good, okay.
Yep.
Right.
And the federal judge just said, no, this is the wrong venue. And the lawyers' job, they're exhausting all of their avenues for recourse against Hill and the state of Indiana. The sad part is, had apologies been made and ownership of the action done, it wouldn't have cost the taxpayers any money. Everybody has a bad day. Some people have more bad days than others, right?
I've had a lot of bad days.
Yeah, me too. And consequently, it's like, the thing that just was mind-boggling to me was the fucking arrogance of this guy. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Like, really? So you're going to gaslight this whole fucking issue all the way to the end because you're a black dude from Elkhart and you're this Attorney General? No. No sale.
And Mara wasn't having any of that.
She was having none of it.
Mara,
none of it.
He picked the wrong person.
To
victimize. He picked the wrong person to victimize. There's no way Mara would stand for that. Knowing Mara, she's tough.
Are you guys? Again, Matt, I know it's Mara's case, but it's in state court and it's continuing.
Yep.
So, what about satisfied with the outcome regarding the suspension? Attorney General Hill was
suspended for 30 days.
30 days, automatic reinstatement.
Right. But we had an Attorney General in Indiana that couldn't practice law for a full month because of this incident.
Funny enough, so in cases that the city and also I privately had where the Attorney General was involved, they had to file a withdrawal of the Attorney General, and then they had to file an appearance back in after the 30 days rolled.
So just think about that aspect. What kind of selfish prick allows this to go on where they can't do their job effectively, and they have to actually be, their law license is suspended. So that has, how many other dominoes does that knock down? Oh, and then a casual, I got people to handle my light work. Dude.
Right.
You were elected to be the Attorney General. You don't have a law license. I'm like, whatever. Anyway, I was at that, the hearing with the Shelby. And
Myra Selby used to be a Supreme Court justice, and she was appointed by the Supreme Court to be the hearing officer in the disciplinary case of Attorney General.
So this guy, it was all like a bad night, and I was just like, I'm sitting there and I'm just eyeballing him like Region style. I'm like,
yeah, man.
Got like this.
People from the region know that look.
I'm like, mother.
Let's start walking forward to obviously the Attorney General situation with the representative was in the background because that happened at the end of the 2018 session, right? And then obviously Representative Mara was reelected, did the 2019 session, and then as she's doing.
She's
right before the 2020 session starts. Pete Viscoski, the 36 now, year incumbent,
18
decides I'm not running again, right? And then people start jumping in the race. Myself, Frank Mervan jumps in the race, and what I don't know if a lot of people realize, Matt and I, Representative Mara and I had been friends for her entire term. Matt and I had been friends for basically and done business together. So obviously. This is the tough situation for
sure
for us, for Representative Mara, Just a weird.
For Kevin,
our
it was
families,
fucking weird.
Our families
Right.
like know each other well. Like my father and
right.
your brothers have done
Your
business.
dad,
right?
I was hired under your dad's
Right,
administration
right.
for Hambone.
So,
So
like,
it goes way back.
You got,
Yeah, so, like,
you got a lot of friends and
that's
a lot
a
of people
weird-
that are all of a sudden getting into a big race. Well, let's. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to do our sponsors. We're going to come back and do the rest of the
We'll
election. We're going to talk
some
about congressional
election.
This is going to be good.
Yeah.
So get a drink of your coffee,
Yeah.
Matt, because you're not fired up enough.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right.
Uh-uh.
By
All
the
right.
way, the cuss counter's at 23.
Those
and,
are a lot of those are.
I think Matt
Mr.
Reardon has got
Reardon's.
21 of the 23. Like,
He's not holding back.
by the way,
Nope.
Mrs. Smith, we see what's going on here, right?
Yeah,
I'm an
it's
angel.
our guest today.
I'm an angel.
Our guest. It was Matt. He did it.
He did it all.
That gets me fired up.
He broke the cookie jar.
All right, here's a couple more sponsors. We're going to come back and talk about the congressional race. Laughing Right Productions invites any and everyone to a downtown Hammond movie night this weekend. Throughout the summer, they're putting on COVID-safe outdoor movie nights from your car in Hammond downtown. Follow them on Facebook at LRP Network Inc. for future dates, and you can purchase tickets at TicketMe. That's ticketmee.com. If you use the code GoHammond, you can get $10 off your ticket purchase. Speaking of ticket codes, let's talk about one of our great sponsors, and that is Rapid Fire NWI. How about going to check out Indiana's largest Nerf arena right here in Griffith? 5,000 square feet of indoor battle space with real-world barriers like construction barricades and 55-gallon drums. The place is insane, and they have a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. The Indiana National Guard even used it recently for team building. Go to their Facebook page at Rapid Fire NWI to check out the place. And by the way, you can get $50 off a full arena party, which is 2 hours, 16 of your friends, and Lou Malnati's Pizza. If you just use the Mayor Tom coupon code.
I want to get on that. I want to set that up.
You know, it's only through August.
What, do
Mayor,
I have
so-
to do this myself?
Yes,
I mean,
you do.
I have people that work for me.
You have people. Well,
Let's get on this.
Lindsay, can
No,
you
I'm
please
talking,
reserve the?
like Eva and Sharon should be
oh,
like
it's going to be a
reserving
Hammond.
this right now.
So who are the people you're going to choose to go?
Well, I'm arming
Phil
my.
Talon for sure. Is
Oh,
gonna be.
on the other team. I'm
But
going to be with the SWAT team.
Phil doesn't get a gun, right? Isn't it?
I mean, I don't care. I'm going to be with the SWAT team. It's going to be good. Hey, we got one more sponsor.
Go check out rapidfirenwi.com.
Where is that located?
That is in Griffith on Lindbergh Street in Griffith.
Awesome. Misprint Printing, Munster and Hammond locations. Rick Baltensberger and his team are there for absolutely all of your printing needs. He's responsive, he's fast, and he's good. Banners and signs of all sizes, from wrapping cards to business cards. No job is too big or too small. Call Rick or Teresa at 219-836-251.
Something. Oh, man. Rick's going to kill me.
That sucks.
How did I do that?
219-836-251.
Lindsay,
There's
look
only
it up.
10 possibilities, okay? So, like, we'll just leave it to you at that point. 251, you take a guess.
7.
7.
There you go. Lucky 7.
219-836-2517. That's Misprint. Call Rick or Teresa. They'll do all your stuff.
Good job, Lindsay. All right. We're back. We're talking about the election.
The election.
Speaking of misprint, didn't they do a really great job with that banner of Mara's head on our campaign headquarters?
Which one?
Mara's the campaign headquarters. Mara's head.
It was
Right across from Vislavsky's office.
You know what's funny is, like, I got over there, obviously, but
right.
yeah, I didn't. I mean, yeah, Misprint's great, and they were doing actually probably 2 or 3.
They're doing everybody's stuff. I'm like,
Right,
Rick,
yeah.
good for you.
But they're
make some
good.
money.
That's why.
he's a capitalist.
When this all went down, I remember one of the things Matt early, within the first week, Matt starts texting me and you both, and he's like, "Hey, man, things are starting to get uncomfortable here. I'm pretty sure my wife's looking at running for this spot." And I remember at the time I was like, "Damn." Because first off, I knew Frank was in the race, and
Yeah, he was.
Frank was a great candidate. And then when Representative Mara's looking, I'm like,
It's going to be a battle.
It's going to be a knockdown, drag out. And then, of course, I was being selfish, and I was thinking, man, I would love to have Matt on our team because Matt knows so many people in the region, and but like.
So let me ask you this, Matt: did anyone ask Mara to get in? Did she get in on her own?
No, I'll tell you. And she got in on her own, and obviously I'm biased, but. Mara was the best candidate. She was an actual.
In his opinion,
I said I'm a little biased.
That's fine.
All right,
Yeah.
so
You're supposed to.
Marissa thinks I was the best candidate.
well, she should.
So does Kevin's mom.
Maybe with your swearing, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes
Mara's
next election.
My mother-in-law thinks I'm the best candidate.
Well,
There's a lot of people in my
there
family.
were that in your family, but so I said, well, how? Like, how is this going to work?
Where's the path to victory?
Right. And I said, so let's look at the facts. So you are the only person who's actually taken a legislative vote in the race. You are the third person in the House of Representatives, which is the legislative body for the state of Indiana, which that job is the legislative body for the U.S. I'm like, okay. So Mara's the president of national organizations. Mara is involved with...
Which helped her a lot, obviously, with money from outside.
With no doubt.
Yeah,
so I'm thinking about it. I'm like, okay. I see how you can win. Knowing you can get dough.
Plus, the big candidates, Frank and I, had already declared, and
so
we're
you're
two males.
So you're two dudes,
Right.
and then mysteriously, somehow, there's an engineered ballot that has black people and brown people and gay people
What does
and
that mean?
progressive
I mean,
people.
so, like you were alleging that some people were put in the race on purpose?
I'm
asking a leading question.
Yes.
I know. Right. Like,
Like old
interesting.
Lake County politics style.
Good old Lake County
But
politics
doesn't
style.
that suck? Like a congressional race should be like the most serious, really. And any
You would think so.
the freaking dude from like Newton County didn't even
Ryan
live in
Farrar.
but doesn't even live in the congressional district, and just, hey, I'm running for Congress. I don't
So
even
that's
live in the
what's up.
district.
And we got guns. I heard him talk. He was funny.
Oh, he's funny. He
So,
was there for comedic relief.
Why not have a
Plays
minimum?
guitar.
So why not have minimum signatures
Yeah.
to run for Congress?
250.
I mean, like 250 or 500 or
Right.
maybe 1,000.
right.
But anyway,
well, even for U.S. Senate in Indiana, it's
What
a
is it?
requirement, 500 per congressional district.
Per district, right?
Right.
so that's a
So
lot.
it makes sense you do 500 for the district.
Right. So
right.
I see a path. I'm like, okay. So the next thought is, how do you raise enough money to do this? Well, between her fundraising ability and her national contacts, we're like, oh, okay. So that's kind of
Because
solved.
I think at the first run, Mara was second to Tom in fundraising.
Yeah,
if
that's
I'm
where
not
she ended.
mistaken.
That's
Oh,
where she
yeah.
ended up.
Oh, yeah. No, Mara and I were the best fundraisers for sure.
That's where she ended.
But that makes sense. Her and I have been around raising money for a
Well,
long
not
time.
if you hear the other side of a township trustee. They've been around forever.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
and you have the help of a sitting congressman for 26. Come on.
Well,
right?
you saw that with the yard signs and things like that. But okay, let me ask you a question.
All right.
Matt.
So,
like, I remember.
So I know. Well, let me finish. So
sure.
I know Mara's the best candidate. She has the most experience. She's taken the most votes. So I'm looking at the field. And I'm like, okay, so I know McDermott. He's had to make hard decisions. He's pissed a lot of people off. He's fucking pissed me off.
I pissed everybody off.
But
that's the job of a mayor.
in that term, I mean, that's what happens when you're a mayor. Now, so you're, the dude in Porter County, Harper. So Harper's, progressive guy, runs around, nice guy. He works for
Nice
a law,
guy, my ass.
He works for a law firm that represents murderers and rapists. Now,
That guy-
did I bring
Did
that
you
up
say
in the
nice
election?
guy about him? He's a
Sure.
prick. He's a prick. That guy's a prick.
So his law firm.
That is not a cuss word. Back that off. That is. You could say prick on WJR.
So his law firm
Lindsay gets to
represents.
decide.
So his law firm represents murderers and rapists, but no one's talking about that. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I thought this was the Democratic Party. Whoa, I thought that's no good. So you have the gal from Gary who's in the
Melissa
race.
Borum.
Not Melissa. I mean, I know
Well,
where.
that's a
I
whole-
know
Hake.
where and why she came into
Sabrina
the race.
Hake.
Sabrina, and I see Sabrina at
Jerome Prince.
Jerome's thing, and I'm like, oh shit, this ought to be interesting.
Jerome Prince is the mayor, Gary, for those that aren't aware. Sabrina Hake was one of the candidates for Congress that was on his
Transition team and
and
is a resident of Gary.
as a resident, and helped him through the campaign.
I was
So
scratching my head that day
So
for
I'm
sure.
like, what's
getting-
this all
So
about?
Jerome's going to
interesting.
back Sabrina, right? That's what you're thinking at
Yeah,
the
so I'm
time?
doing the chess
Right.
moves, and I'm like, oh man, so this is that. So anyway, I'm like, this is an uncomfortable situation, but I know that I'm supporting the best candidate because of experience. I'm looking at it. So when I go get my car fixed, do I pick somebody who's never, ever, ever fixed a car in their life, but likes cars and has been around them to fix my engine, or am I going to take it to somebody who can fix an engine, right? So I'm like, okay, in this field, who's actually had to do or even make a decision or force a decision? So that's you, right?
Both of us. Well,
The rest of the people, I'm like, what?
Not
Wait,
much.
no,
Not
no.
really.
No responsibility.
Not really.
Outside a representative and myself. And I mean, Frank at least had been in office for a while. I mean, give him
So
some
you're
credit.
no. I'm not running down the job of a township trustee. I'm saying the job of poor relief and the job of maintaining a park and the job of maintaining cemeteries is
Right.
altogether different than legislation.
Absolutely.
It's a far and
Let me
away.
ask you a
or
question.
being mayor.
By the way, Matt's a Republican. You are a Republican.
I'm certainly right of center.
You're out. So funny.
We described that yesterday.
Last night we
gonna
were saying, wow, we're going to have right of center on left of center.
Yeah.
Right.
But like,
I always think of Matt as a free agent at this point. He's all over the place.
he's right of center. But the thing is, the reason I say that is, do you believe that township trustees are necessary in Indiana? I mean,
I can say no. It's a superfluous level of government.
It's total crap.
Specifically in an area
In urban areas, for
that
sure.
has no unincorporated area.
That's right. I
So none.
So let's talk about that, right? So originally it was set up where you have state government, then county, then township, and then local, right? So in rural areas, township government has a purpose.
They do fire protection.
Yep.
They provide poor
In rural
relief.
areas,
In
right.
rural,
But
that's their
very
fundamental
little poor-
function, right? Very little poor relief. More so focused on fire protection.
Right.
So, like one of my clients in Hebron, they have. It's in Boone Township, I think.
Right.
And anyway, so I'm like, what? So there was a bill that was out there to get rid of township government.
A while ago. What do you think? 6, 7, 8 years?
Yeah,
probably?
and then somebody quashed that because everybody's feelings got hurt.
well, the
And-
Republican Party quashed that
because they had 1,000
everybody's-
townships and they have three.
Mom, dad, sister on the township advisory board.
right.
And
Exactly.
Right.
So it gets quashed. So anyway, so I'm looking at the landscape like, okay, fine. But the real tale of the tape is you have this ballot that was engineered, and you have, which I felt was the wild card. Now we're doing polling like you guys are doing polling. So I know what it says. I know you're in the lead. I know this. I also
That's what
know
the
there's
poll
a,
said.
yes.
Right.
I know that there's and not one poll but two, and I know there's a chunk of undecided, a big
Right.
chunk.
Right.
big chunk,
right.
but you also know Mara's trailing pretty good.
She's behind, right?
Right.
But she's got to climb over one guy to get to you, and there's a bunch of undecided.
Where'd you
So,
have Harper in that?
behind Mara?
Yeah,
we had
were
Harper
about the
right
same.
about the same.
Yeah,
right?
Mara and Harper
We had
about
Frank
the
in
same.
second, Mara
Right.
and Harper. And,
So we're like, okay, the pathway to victory is to get to Tom. Mara has experience. Tom's sort of a Republican. Didn't you like the pink boxing gloves? I'll get into my
pink boxing gloves,
I'll
I
get
forgot.
into my anger about what happens when PACs take over and they're doing shit.
we have a
I'm
story
like,
about that,
I'm
too.
like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
I'm
it
like,
was pretty
where's this
bad.
come? Anyway,
Yeah.
It goes to show you have no control
none,
over it.
zero.
Well, we
People
have a story about
and people
PACs
are
too,
like,
so-
oh yeah, you did all that. I'm like, no, man, no.
right.
So
no, I know what you mean.
So
when it's
we're
happening,
going
there's nothing you can do.
Right. So we're going through all this, and I just keep banging away on Facebook. I'm like, Mara has the only experience. Mara's the only experienced candidate. Mara's the only candidate that's ever taken a vote. She's a legislator. Why aren't you voting for a legislator? Never mind all this stuff. Why are you worried about this? And then they're like, oh, let's tack on another month to the election. I'm
Tell
like,
me about
come
it, Jesus
on.
Let me ask you something going back, though.
Okay.
I remember one pertinent moments of the election. I remember one pertinent day in the election for me. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Okay. And the reason I remember is because I knew Mara was in the race, obviously, by this time. But Mara was sitting next to Mark Lopez. Pete Visklowski's chief of staff. Mark Lopez is acting in his capacity as chief of staff, but he's also staffing a political candidate, taking her around that day, which is interesting,
Well,
right?
Pete was at.
This goes back, Matt from Red. If you knew Pete was going to back Frank ahead of time, would she have run? This
No.
goes to my question, because when Mara on MLK Day was going around with Mark Lopez, I was like, does Mara actually think? Because we all knew that Pete was going to back
Well, and
Frank.
Pete was at MLK Day as well.
Right.
He was there.
But why was Mara with Mark? That's what I was saying. Is
Well,
like,
they know
they're
each
not
other
going to. Yeah, but they
from-
weren't going to back Mara.
So at this time, we don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. Maybe
You
he is.
didn't?
Maybe he is.
It was
No,
pre-
honestly.
It was pre-endorsement of
It was
Frank.
pre-endorsement, yeah. But
So-
still, we knew what was going
but
on.
had that happened initially, there'd have been two people in a race. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Harper gets in for the fun of it, but there would have been you and Mervan, and that's
And
it.
and the slew
If
of
Pete-
everybody else.
No, I don't even think that would have won him. But why bother? I mean, it's like what? Why? I mean, if you don't think you can win,
So Mara
why,
thought that she had a chance to get Pete's endorsement on MLK
for sure.
Day. Okay.
Not on MLK Day, just generally
general.
speaking,
Right.
or better.
But that
yet-
was early. That was before Pete endorsed.
Right.
So.
Better yet, no endorsement at all.
Right.
I'm gonna walk.
Well, hey,
I'm
we
gonna
were down.
wash my hands.
Dude,
I'm gonna
totally.
let. I'm gonna let. I'm gonna
butter.
let these people fight it out. Right.
That's
which
what-
is what we could
By
hope
the way,
for.
when I leave as Hammond's mayor, that's what I'm doing.
You're like
I'm
you're,
not getting involved. Could see him what the outgoing congressman did. I was like, I'm not going out like that.
So
Like,
when
where I'm like
Mara
forcing
didn't
myself.
really jump behind any 12th district candidate, she's like, "You guys run your own races." You know
She
what?
did.
When you get behind,
Yeah,
when
she
you
she
get
went
when you
behind
get
Andrade.
when you get past the primary, then you come.
Oh,
talk
she
to me.
did. She did after.
She
the
didn't
primary.
originally. No, she did not get involved in that race.
Nope, not till he won.
Okay.
So anyway, that's the thought. If we get no endorsement, that's good.
Right.
Widens the chances.
The thing I know also, I consider myself good friends with Melissa Borum. I still like Melissa Borum, and I still consider myself friends with Melissa Borum, who's a young African-American woman who grew up in East Chicago, went to high school in Maryville, and then moved to Gary. So she had like good credentials as far as where she lived, people she knew. She's a young African-American attorney, very pretty, 31, 30-ish, like she's young. And by the way, so I knew her friendly. I was sort of like trying to mentor her and trying to help her run for her office. I knew from that relationship her and I had that she was also real good friends with your wife. Like real good friends. Real good friends with your wife. So when Melissa Borum jumps in the race, I'm like...
And what's Mara saying? I mean, well, I don't want to hear what she had to say, but I mean, what's her thought process at that point? Like, what's going on?
Just, it was a long series of wow. Like, really?
Why do you think Melissa Borum... I know the answer to this. I'm asking you
I
what
think
your
she
opinion.
was asked to be in the race or encouraged to be in the race to split the vote, to engineer the ballot by people that supported Frank Mervan.
But do you think who do you think it was? I mean, do you have an idea? I no doubt in my mind it was Mark Lopez. No doubt in my mind.
I just know that there was an effort to engineer a ballot to spread out the vote, to make sure you got all your bases covered, and the way
Melissa won Gary.
Yeah, and she won Gary. So you look at all that and you're like, oh, I mean, that was one of the wow moments. You're like, are you kidding me? I mean, the other moment, and I was giving Palmentier some shit. I knew they were going to support you. I'm like, you fuckers. I'm like,
Did that shock you? I mean, I would have been shocked if...
That didn't shock me.
Because it didn't shock me that they supported me. I mean, I've been a loyal soldier for the building trades since the day I walked into City Hall.
Right, no doubt. So that wasn't like I was like, well, Tom always is union the shit, and every project I've ever done. Right. So that was not like I still gave him shit about it.
Of course.
Sure.
And I understand why Mara was mad, but like it wasn't shocking to me that I got their endorsement.
No, but what really was the kicker was the steelworkers.
That was a whole...
And explain that, Matt. Why you were surprised about the steelworkers.
Again, first of all, I'm hoping between the steelworkers and the teachers union. Now, Mara's been a legislator for 14 years. She has gone to bat on every vote for labor, for teachers, for steel, for all of them, walked out, went to Urbana, lost an election because of it. Solidarity, my ass. She goes in there, knocks it out of the park. Tom even says so. Man, Mara killed it with the steelworkers.
She was right before me.
Yeah.
Killed it.
She did great. By the way, I killed it too. But it didn't matter. It didn't. No, but it didn't matter. It was a goddamn. It was a goddamn dog and pony show.
So the fix is in. A lot of claps. And so, then it happens. You have Pete supporting his candidate with an engineered ballot and the steelworkers, and then they bring the teachers union along, just for good measure. And I'm like,
by the way, Mara's mom was a teacher.
Oh, she was the president of that union.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, so let me get this right. We're going to support a guy that's never voted for a piece of legislation in his life. Not once.
And that's going to be his legacy. In other words, that's going to be Pete's legacy. He went out supporting, just kind of deciding that he's going to support someone, and I'm going to retire.
I'm going to support this guy. And for whatever reason, I'm going to support a guy because I think the best course of action is to find somebody who's never actually done the job a day in his life. So all the Democrat, hoo-ha, we're a party of inclusion. They picked a middle-aged white guy after all that shit.
Yeah, I'm a middle-aged white guy.
Right.
Do you think we all are?
Right.
Do you think that if you could point to one factor that was it, the endorsement?
That is the one and only factor.
Thank you. I mean, that was... We were going to make it number one, but I didn't want Pete Visclosky's head to get large.
That is first number one in my head.
We made it number two.
It was
the
minute that
Steelworkers and Visclosky.
The minute that happened, it was a race against Pete Visclosky, without any of his baggage. I mean, all the stuff
without any of his baggage.
Without all the stuff like how much money have you ever really got in the region, to what happened with the campaign finance scandal when the guy died, and all that other stuff.
So do you think originally it was supposed to be me running against Pete Visclosky?
Yes.
It would have been a completely different race because of the baggage that Pete Visclosky had.
Yeah, but a completely different
campaign.
But when he brings in Frank Mervan, who has no baggage.
So you have the best of both worlds.
Right. He's not running, so you can't really go after Pete.
Nope.
Right? Because then you're just like chasing a ghost.
Everybody's kissing his ass.
And Frank's got very few negatives.
No,
you know,
very few negatives.
Very few negatives.
Why would he have a negative? He gives shit away all day long.
That, but I'm just saying he pulled with no negatives.
Right.
He's perceived as a real good guy. That he gives.
Yes.
He does his job.
Yeah.
No, he's good at his job, but like his job is
so,
easy.
But I'm just saying, you couple that with the Pete endorsement.
So it's
you can't chase Pete.
Right.
You can't criticize Pete. And what are you left with?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not speaking from sour grapes area.
No, this is just
it was a well-engineered and organized effort.
Without a doubt.
And they won.
Without a doubt.
So, but you can't fucking tell me that you have a candidate that has 14 years experience, is number 3 in the state of Indiana legislature, and is basically brushed off as a whatever. Oh,
hey,
that's
Matt,
just Mara.
Hey, Matt,
I don't
know if you realize I'm the best goddamn mayor in Northwest Indiana, and I was brushed aside. Like according to the Times, I mean, this is an independent.
That's not you.
I'm the freaking #1 damn mayor in the region. Like according to the Times, like I love you, Mayor Dave. I love you, Mayor Brian. I love you, Mayor.
I want to wrap this up. I'm going to wrap up the election by asking you one other thing that happened during it, and that was something that happened on JOB.
Well, yeah, that's where we're going next.
So let's talk about that, Matt. What happened? How did it happen? And why did that just frost you?
So
let me ask before, let's go back. So going to Red's question, if Mara knew that Pete was going to back Frank ahead of time, would she have run?
No.
He said no.
I agree. Okay.
No,
right.
no.
Just
I mean, there was
recapping.
no because I mean, she understood the power of longevity in a congressional seat. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing you guys probably heard this a few times. I love you, but I gotta. Pete asked. Pete asked.
I heard that from
Pete
a lot of
asked.
people.
Pete asked. So I'm like. Ugh.
And to tell you the truth, I mean, I would say one of the problems that I probably had as campaign managers, I underestimated the power of that. I mean, it was looking back, it was extremely powerful.
Yeah. Just what you said. You had the longevity of a senior representative and a candidate with really no negatives, and that's what our polling showed. Like no negatives. Like McDermott, lots of negatives. Harper, who is he?
Right.
Mara, kind of know you. You're the Curtis Hill lady, and you got some national exposure. And so when you look at it, I mean, hindsight's pretty easy, right? You're like, okay, now and the other thing, I just want to put out there. When Mara ran for office, she had to step down as a state rep. So it wasn't
she gave up her spot.
She gave up her seat.
And she knew she was giving it up if she lost.
That was the ultimate gamble. Right.
So, and she put that on the line with the knowledge of all the stuff that was going on. So anyway, that's not sour grapes. That's just the way it worked out. And you know what? I can be mad about it, and I can say, how unbelievably pissed off I was at the steel workers and the congressmen and the teachers unions and all that shit. And then, you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Right.
When you had a organized effort with a congressman with longevity and a candidate with no negatives, it's pretty good.
Yep.
So, and it's hard to bang on. I mean, what are you going to argue about the township? I mean, outside of the guy before you stole money and stuff, right? Or two guys before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you run a clean ship. People get their stuff orderly.
Everybody loves Wicker Park.
Sure.
Yeah.
You run a nice park. You cleaned up the cemetery.
Yeah, until you try and put a YMCA in there. Yeah. Now I got a problem.
By the way, that comes out during the election. Things change, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
And this was going on, by the way.
I'm sure the first meeting they had was.
This has been going on a long time, and that's a whole separate issue.
It just happened, dude.
We could talk about that all day.
Dude, it just happened.
Kevin wants to go to JOB, and so do I, because you had a long time show at WJOB, Matt. You were the economic development guru, titled by WJOB, and then suddenly you weren't on the air anymore. We're on Tuesday mornings on this show, which is appropriate because also at WJLB right now they have Jed and Verley. Why aren't you on WJLB anymore?
Well, I just made a decision.
First off, you cuss a lot, so you got to come on the podcast.
I was like, I'm down with the podcast. I mean, I listen to Dax Shepard podcast a lot. And,
there you go.
And he, he lets it rip, and he's got all kinds of guests on there. So I'm pretty comfortable with it.
I am too.
So the. I was on JOB for a long time, and Jim and I are friends and all that. And this election, as Kevin pointed out, caused some uncomfortableness in a lot of relationships. But I think I'm big enough to get over all that shit in time. I'm just kidding. So
you're getting there. It's a process.
You have, it is a process. So
I'm not.
I'm on there with you. I'm not.
Well, you take longer, Tom. You took longer.
But I do forgive.
Oh, got Matt in the studio?
That's right.
Well, Matt and I were never mad at each other.
Not really.
No. We were talking most of the campaign.
Right.
We were texting and talking.
It was
all
like,
of us
goddamn.
When
Anyway.
those goddamn mailers started coming out, I got a little frosted. But yeah.
Hey, again, back to you don't control the mailer system when you have
we got to hit that. Yeah.
with the
Let's do
with the
WJB.
people who donate you money.
Let's do WJB and then Super PAC.
And
And
then
we'll
we'll
finish
close
with
that.
Super PAC.
So
Yep.
anyway, so I've been on with lots of people, and Dave and I had a good show for a lot of years, and we took on a lot of
of
shit.
issues. Yeah.
And pretty straightforward,
You were a
discussions
sponsor.
about
Your
it.
company, MCR
Yeah,
Partners, is
we
a
were a
sponsor.
sponsor at SEH. We were a sponsor. Then Kuziak was a sponsor, so that allowed us to speak freely about issues without worrying about having the sponsors worry about
Right.
what you're saying and who you're making mad or who you're not making mad. So I'm listening and I hear one of the hosts mention Mara
Which host?
Harris.
Verley.
And so she's talking about Curtis Hill and how wonderful he is. And
She's a big fan.
she's a big fan of his. And she says, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, that Mara shouldn't be in the race for Congress if she can't handle Curtis
Basically
Hill.
not tough enough.
If she can't handle Curtis Hill touching her ass,
Yeah.
what's she going to do when she gets to Washington,
Right,
D.C.?
pretty much is what
it was
she
basically
said.
the comment.
Pretty much. So there's an article in the paper, and she continues to go on and on about it. And so there's an article, and then
Which is repulsive, by the way, for a fellow woman that another woman's going public with allegations of being groped,
So-
and then Verley says, if you can't handle being groped in Indianapolis.
So I am,
she threw it out there. I mean, what's the reaction?
So the reaction was, the paper, Mara's like, are you kidding me? So you have Verley Harris, who's running one of the lead campaign people for
Frank Marvan.
Frank Marvan, making the comment. And then you have Marvan's comment about Mara's a great person. She's a great thing. And part of Frank's efforts as township trustee, and it's noteworthy, is that, the 13 reasons things, and
Yep.
it's great. And, it gets to the point where, as a person and somebody who's talking about this effort you're putting together, you make a choice. And the choice was to say, her words are her words, not, I completely condemn victim shaming on all levels from anybody's mouth at all points in time. So at that point, I lost a bit of respect for Frank. I was like, I'm pretty disappointed in you.
Frank, repeat again.
Instead
So
of
how-
distancing himself
He
from the
just said
comments
Verley-
or rejecting the comments.
Rejecting the comment.
Right.
He was complimentary of Mara, but didn't say anything about the comments.
Said
Right.
Verley Harris's words are her.
Verley Harris is Verley
So
Harris.
I mean,
right.
a very political and very calculated way to sidestep any bullshit. I mean, let's get to it. So I'm like, I don't think I got anything good to say about that. I mean, imagine, if you will, I decided that I'm involved in I didn't even need a political race. Let's just say there's 4 African American kids and they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and somebody beats them up. And I say, well, those kids probably shouldn't have been there anyway.
They deserved it.
What
Right.
were they doing there? I
Right.
mean, they need to be tougher.
Right.
Now, I'm pretty confident that that's going to get me in some level of trouble with some people. Like, racist host runs down black youth.
Or how about
How's that
racist
headline?
husband of congressional candidate?
Racist husband.
That would have been
of
that would have been the
Me Too
headline.
Yeah, racist husband of congressional Me Too candidate runs down black kids. More news at 11.
Right.
So I'm like, what the fucking really? So I'm like, I can't. I have nothing good to say about it. I have nothing good to say about any, the lack of rebuke about what was said. I mean, it's just preposterous. It's like, what
How do you
kind
get
of
away
set
with
of
that?
balls do you got to be able to say that?
Yeah.
And so this is all in the
So, like-
context of a campaign, and I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me, for real?
So and Verley is on every week at WJLB every Tuesday during the
Right,
campaign.
talking about what? But her life experience too. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
need to
right.
run her down.
Right.
I have a lot of experiences doing different things. I think people enjoy what I have to say and my point of view about things. I think I bring some real world credibility to shit that goes on that people read about in the newspaper every day.
You've been
Yeah.
around the block.
Yeah.
You've been around the region for a long time. You know everybody. You know what the characters are. You understand it.
Right.
And I mean, it sounds like you kind of took it like, this
I-
is the respect I get from the radio station I've been with for 15 years.
Yeah, I wasn't happy about it.
I agree with you.
I'm not happy about
By
it.
the way, I felt like at WJLB my show was pretty good too. Being
Yeah, you
honest, and we
guys.
got
I used
treated
to.
like shit.
I mean, I listen to your
we
shit.
listen to you guys. Yeah.
yeah, we listen to you every week.
So I was like, "Are you kidding? I mean, come on."
Right.
I mean, Jed tried to say something at the time, and it's one of those, let the sleeping dog lie. Listen, I'm not.
Wife.
It's first of all, it's my wife.
Right.
On any level, it's like, well, I'm honestly, hey, that dude who got shot in the back 7 times probably shouldn't have fucking been there.
Right.
Shit like that. It's like, so you had a minority woman, bad-mouthing another minority woman running for Congress against her candidate, who's a middle-aged white guy, and she runs her down because she was in the wrong place at the wrong time and should have been tougher.
And got groped by
the attorney general and should have been tougher to be in goddamn Congress.
She should have been at home. Why was she at the bar?
She should have been at home making me dinner.
Right. All right, let's go to the super PACs. I was frustrated, obviously, with Mara's campaign because it seemed like I was the one that was getting targeted.
You were the leader in the clubhouse, man.
According to polling, right? And
according to polling, everybody I talked to, all conventional wisdom and
polling
and wisdom and all of it. I'm money and all the stuff. I'm like, I knew it. And then I'm like, okay, so super PAC. So Mara has national contacts. You have national contacts. So when you have contacts in Washington, D.C., for the people listening out there, the people that you might work with when you get into Congress, they
want to have a good relationship with you early on.
Maybe like let's say the support of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, which is 16% of the people in the House of Representatives that Mara had.
You would think she'd have a good relationship.
You would think that she would be able to do a great job representing the region because she had anyway. So that leads to cash. You had similar relationships in
veterans
organizations. They're like, you know what, Tom, do a good job. He's been a mayor of a city. He's done a great job. Anyway. So these guys, you're like super happy. You're like, wow,
it's money you don't have to spend.
Right. You're like, oh my God, I don't have to raise $300,000.
But you don't know what they're going to do.
I don't have to raise $300,000.
They're totally independent.
And you don't know.
You don't know if it's going to be TV. You don't know if it's going to be radio.
No.
They could do nail files for all I know. I mean, matches.
Hey, we got 2 grosses and nail files.
I got your name on a matchbox.
Right. But there's to be no contact between super PACs and no coordination at all.
And people think that's bullshit, but I'm going to tell you, it is the truth.
It's the truth because of how serious
it's a federal law violation.
If you violate that.
Yeah, you can go to prison.
They don't want it. They're not going to violate it. You're one of 20 candidates they're helping.
You're a tiny pimple on the spot of politicalness.
That's right. They don't need to we better coordinate with the Reardon campaign.
I'm really worried about that.
Because let's talk about it, right? They just don't do that.
So what you're saying is they started taking aim at me. And
you're the focus. You're like, that dude.
There was probably 5 or 6 mailers that went out by them against me.
Just like the race, the pink boxing gloves.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
So I mean, that's all. Yeah, you did. You're like, nice pink boxing gloves.
I was like, really?
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
It's an original idea.
Yeah. I know. So no control. So they're going at you. I'm not apologizing for what they did. You were the leader.
I know.
So all this shit's going out, and unfortunately, as it turned out, it got no traction at all. Because by the end of it, by the end of it, people are going, "Oh, I'm tired of getting mailers, and how dare these people waste money?" I'm like, "What?"
It didn't bump in the poll.
It did not.
No,
it did
which
not.
is interesting. Right?
It turned me back. I think.
I mean, with Mara, it didn't hurt. It
it's
didn't
like
help
if
her
I was.
numbers.
It did not really.
Using biking terminology, if it was a peloton and I was in the front, I was taking all the wind. I was taking all the
100%.
And everybody else was coasting behind me.
And then they tack on another month. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, and it just was like mailer.
Why?
Matt, did you hear? We had our own super PAC situation with the picture.
No. Oh, yeah, I saw that. The picture of
Mrs. Flores.
With
right.
Mrs. Flores.
So they were like mad about it, and maybe they should have been.
But that was my fault that the picture ended up in our Dropbox, because what you have in a federal campaign is you have a Dropbox on your website where you put pictures that super PACs could use.
Public information.
So we have tons of pictures in our Dropbox.
Sure.
How do we know who that is?
We did. I don't know Mrs. Flores. Right?
I didn't know the woman.
So her picture is in our
lady,
Dropbox.
Apparently.
And obviously it was a great picture because every super PAC that went into our Dropbox is like, I'm using that picture, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
I saw it.
You can't even stop it.
People contacted me. I'm like, I explained the situation. I said, you have this box that you put information in.
And they grab it.
Anybody can access the information to use it. And these super PACs.
And after the complaint came in, we pulled it from the Dropbox.
Yeah.
But at that point, they have it. And you can't tell them, like, Hey,
I had a picture of Kevin and I in the Dropbox. They didn't
make it.
Yeah.
Did not make it.
They should have had a picture of me in the Dropbox doing this.
Yeah, and then you
Put that on.
there
the
I am
last
with
mailer.
Matt Reardon.
Yep.
So just wrapping up, Matt. What are you up to now?
So at MCR, we're doing projects. We're still working on the data center in Hammond.
Yeah, we got a speech on Thursday.
That's right. I got bumped. What the fuck?
I think because Mayor has got to speak.
What do you
Matt.
mean bumped?
I got
speaking.
bumped. No, I
You got bumped totally?
They said you're out.
That's bullshit.
No, I really did. They said we had too many speakers.
Wow. Well, you'll be there.
In all honesty, I tried to gangster my way into the event.
No, I
was.
By the time you and I had already committed to the show, and then I saw the list of speakers and I saw you down, I was like, all right, well, Matt and I are back on track.
Right.
So MCR Partners is busy, or
what's the contact number for MCR Partners?
741-9511. We're at 5920 Holman Avenue at the Merge Building. With my partners at HWC Engineering, and they have an office there. So,
what kind of you guys do? All kinds of
those guys are my partner in the engineering field, and they do civil water, wastewater, stormwater. And I handle the economic development and financing.
You guys build firehouses?
We do that. Mm-hmm. We do, fire stations and water plants.
Did a heck of a job on Edison Park.
Well, people were flowing me shit. They're like, Tom McDermott said that you made Hammond made to Matt, and I said, well, first of all, why wouldn't you hire the best fucking consultant around? Let's get that right. I mean, come on.
There you have it.
I mean, why wouldn't you? And I said, look, plenty of people work for cities. I said, so fucking get over it. And I do. And I said, in the last, project was award-winning, and we got a data center. So we're cranking along with that.
I wanted to ask you a question about, and first off, I appreciate you being here. I think it was a great show. We had tons of viewers. I'm sure this is going to be repeated. This is on Apple Podcast apps now. So.
You better subscribe.
Yeah.
And the good thing about having 10 brothers and sisters, they can all subscribe.
They're all going to watch too.
By the way, so while we're talking about it, everybody, you could subscribe on your iPhone. They have a podcast app. You click on the podcast app, type in Left of Center Show, and every time we do a show, it'll automatically download right on your phone. I did it on my dad's phone yesterday.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
He needed the help.
I wanted to ask you about, my good friend, Mayor Hobart, Brian Snedeker, recently switched parties.
Yes.
And I was wondering what you thought about that, because you're right of center. I consider myself left of center. I'm not left.
No.
But I am left of center. And I always considered Brian, personally, center or center right. He was always, he's a former police chief. But what do you think about that whole situation with Mayor Snedeker?
I thought it was thoughtful by him. It probably was a difficult decision to make. And really, I think about that decision you'd have to make. You're a part of this party for a long time. You have some allegiances. And you get to, the thing that really upsets me, I guess, or makes me think is what possibly could get somebody to do that? I mean, what level of what was going on would make somebody decide, you know what, I fucking had it. I can't, I'm not going to buy.
What do you think it was? I know what it was.
I'm pretty confident it had all to do with the, the police situation.
Yeah, it is exactly what it is.
And you have a police officer who, defended his city, and you have this, in some instances, blatant disregard for law enforcement. You have looting. You also have peaceful protest, which is a cornerstone of what makes America great. But you have a guy who has to make a tough decision. And I'm pretty sure Brian's the same guy that you saw at the grocery store. You're going to see him at the grocery store. He's not going to, I don't think now maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he's walking around with a MAGA hat on, or he's holding the fucking Trump flag out his window and honking his horn and
my
Trump,
my prediction for Mayor Brian, I think he runs for state rep in 2 years.
Well, they'll probably redraw a nice
in
district
2 years.
For him.
In 2 years.
We'll see if it gets
sake,
redrawn.
How can it be any better?
What do you know? I think I'm going to run for state rep because they got a nice district drawn for me.
You heard it here first on Left of Center.
And that certainly could be the case. We know what happens with the pen. I mean, look what happened to Mara's district.
Yeah,
that's right.
It went from PC Chicago, a lot of Hammond, to here's a little bit of Hammond.
Yep.
Let's Munster, Highland.
She used to be his rep.
Yes, and they drew that right out. They're like, let's draw those Democrats out of that
gerrymandering.
Well, so anyway, it was good times. Good being on.
Thanks for coming
out,
man.
You're a great guest.
People are like, how do you get along? I'm like, dude, I get fucking mad at McDermott. Of course I do. I'm a human being.
I don't see how that happens.
He's a dude.
It's hard to believe.
And people are like, oh, he's a dick. I'm like, yeah, he can be,
People
but you know
say that
what?
about me? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah, we had it
People
last
actually say that. People
Mailbag
next week.
We got mailbag.
Friday.
But at the tail of the tape is we're all here. I'm not fucking going anywhere. You're gonna see me at the store. Tough shit.
Yeah,
That's the way I look at it. And the other thing about the elections is there were people who were trying to fucking win, and there were people who were just in for the ride.
Yep.
And you were trying to win, and Mara was trying to win, and obviously Frank was trying to win, and
I throw
and
Harper
probably
in there.
Harper's trying to win.
Yep.
So you had, and that's going to cause. I mean, if you're competitive in any way, you're getting pissed.
It's not easy. Not easy. to get
No,
over
it's
with.
not. So shit happens, but you know what? It's over. John's happy about it. I know Lindsay is too.
Yeah.
We're happy that we
We're
can
happy it's
now
over.
hang
We
out
have
on the
a live.
podcast. We have our lives back. Well, at least except on Tuesday and Friday.
Yeah.
Hey, Vesmar, I wanted to point something out. Facebook is like up my butt now. My personal Facebook, they're like flagging all kinds of my videos for copyright content violations. So I'm just letting you know, like here, they're flagging shows that I posted that were like a year old.
Months ago, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
The
because we have
algorithm,
left of center
algorithm's
now.
catching up.
Yeah, now that we have left of center, it seems like I'm getting renewed scrutiny from Facebook. So
All right,
they
well-
knocked a couple of my old shows off the air.
Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe us. Left of Center Show on Apple Podcasts. It's
So
been
like
a
you could
good Tuesday.
you could subscribe on Facebook, you could subscribe on YouTube, and download it on your iPhone. I was mountain biking the other day listening to our show,
Yep,
which is
just subscribe.
awesome.
Matt's
yeah.
doing it right now.
Yeah. So,
All right.
Matt, you were
Oh, yeah.
a great guest, man.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Matt.
you being here, bud.
We'll see everybody Friday. We'll be here at 7:30. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
see you. Left of center, everybody.
Peace.